Hi, this is Bobby Kimbrough, and welcome to Off the Cuff. I'm excited to have with me Mrs. Goodine today and Mr. Thomas with us from the Stepping Up program. Welcome to Off the Cuffs.
Thank you, Sheriff Kimbrough. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure's all mine. So, a lot of people, when they say Stepping Up program, they probably have no idea what that is. They look at it as a step show, stepping up. So tell us exactly, what do you do when we talk about the Step Up program?
Well, the Stepping Up program is an initiative that Commissioner Gloria Wisenhunt brought back to Forsyth County after going to a conference. She wanted to find a way to reduce recidivism in the Forsyth County Detention Center of men and women who have mental health challenges. And so the Stepping Up program has been here ever since 2017, I believe.
Wow. Yeah, so I've spoken with Ms. Wisenhunt several times about your program. I think it was a great initiative to have the vision to do that. So tell us, what does that entail? I mean, that's kind of broad. Tell me what you do. What do you do?
Yeah. I started, the program started off with women. And then I came along in January of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically what we do is we go to the jails dealing with the detainees and those soon to be released, as well as those may be in some type of trouble with the law. So our primary goal is to reduce recidivism.
So when you go to the jail, right? People always talk about the jail. When you go to the jail, you go inside, right?
Yes.
You deal with the female population, correct?
That's correct. I deal with the female population. My primary responsibility is to go into the jail, meet with the persons, the females, one-on-one, and talk to them about why they are in there and how I can support them. We work on the Wellness Recovery Action Plan for reentry, in which we sort of identify the things that led them into the system,
Okay.
and the things that they can do while they're in there to help manage their distress, depression, or whatever, the trauma, as well as create a plan so that when they do get out, they won't have to go back. So we connect them to our services. We have two case managers on our team that connects them to resources in our community as well. The women are required to come on the second and the fourth Thursday each month to group, as well as participate in other treatments that has been referred to them by
So
our.
what kind of services do you offer? People talk about the detention center. You talked about the rate of recidivism. You talk about the revolving door, people going back in and out of the detention center. And so the question that I would have is that there has to be, or do you think, there has to be some type of skill set to keep or to give people to keep them from coming back into the system? I mean, skills. How do we give persons life skills? How do we give them skills that keep them from coming back into the system? So tell me, what specifically would you say that you do in the peer support group? Do you help them find jobs? Do you help them deal with, I heard you talk about coping skills, or you talk about the group settings. So when they come into this group setting, what are they expecting?
So, from my perspective, a person has to be willing and ready to change.
I like
So
that.
it begins with a change of the behaviors and the thoughts that we have. We all grew up and we was raised to think this way and that way.
Yeah.
So just by us letting these people know that we have been there, I've been locked up in the Forsyth County Jail. I kept repeating the same things and got the same results, but now I'm living a life. I'm living my best life.
I like that.
I'm living my best life. I don't have to go do things that's gonna land me in jail. So I had to break those familiar behaviors that I was doing. So we share our life lived experience with them. We let them know that, hey, we've been here. We know what it feels like to be locked up. We know the struggle and the challenge of being a person that's used drugs. You know what I'm saying? And broke the law and ended up in jail. But there's help and there's hope for you. And we help them to create a plan.
I want you to know that not only do I applaud you, but I appreciate you saying that, Ms. Goodine, because so many times in life we have a story and we hold it. The story ain't to be told, the story is to be told. By sharing your story, you saving lives. And for you to say that, that took a lot of courage. And I want you to know how much I appreciate that, because so many of us sit in judgment. So many of us think that we are above or better than, when the scripture tells you to go, I had not been for the grace of the Lord, right? We all could have been. I know I could have been a lot of places other than sitting right here, but God found grace and mercy on my life and guided me in different directions. But where I was going with that is this, is that this morning in command staff meeting, every Monday morning they give me a count of how many residents, I refer to them as residents, how many residents we have in the detention center. This morning the number was 643. I mean, and that's relatively a small number, you know, comparative, right? It has been up to 900 at times, right? 643 is what the number was, the people that were detained, incarcerated, whatever verbiage you choose to use inside the detention center. But here's the thing, though. A lot of those persons are going to be released. A lot of them are going to need peer support. A lot of them are going to need coping mechanisms. A lot of them are going to need skill sets. Because as you said, and you said something that was profound, you said that you kept
repeating the same behaviors, getting the
same
same
results.
results. That cycle had to be broken.
I like
and on
that.
April the 8th,
The
2008.
same behavior, getting the same results.
Yeah.
And then you said that I had to change my behavior. There had to be a mindset shift to keep you from doing the same behavior. Therefore, you don't get the same results.
That's right.
So how do you express that when you go into the detention center, when you deal and you meet people? How do you express that to them, that I sat where you were one time? Because see, when I go over there and I try to talk to some of the young brothers, people over there, I can't say that. That's the part I can't relate to, right? How do you get them to hear you? Because a lot of times we just become products of the environment. We just keep going with the same thing and we come back to the same place. How do you break that cycle? How did you break that cycle? If you don't mind sharing it, I don't want to be personal. I don't want to pry. There's something I don't want to do. But I think that people watching this and listening are going to want to know, how did you break the cycle? How did you do it?
Well, I'm about to get a little spiritual up in here, but I had a praying grandmother.
I like that. I like that.
I had a praying grandmother. I had a relationship with God myself.
But tell me the works that you did. You know, prayer without works is dead. Tell me the work that you did to change that shift.
On April the 8th, 2008, I cried out to God. April the 7th, 2008, I cried out to God and told him that I was sick and tired of living the way that I was living. Please take the desire to use drugs away from me and connect me to the people and the resources that's going to help me become all that you have called me to be. And God answered that prayer the next day. He took the desire to use drugs away from me.
That's strong.
And he continuously answered that prayers by connecting me to people and resources. And so by me sharing my life lived experiences with the people that, I like what you said, residents in the Forsyth County Jail, and as well as to the community, it helps me because it reminds me of what it was like and how easy it could be for me to go back. But when I said I asked him to connect me to the resources, everybody that I deal with are helping me one way or the other. They're either teaching me what not to do or they're teaching me how to do something a little bit better. So I like to look at what's strong because, see, we have a whole lot of wonderful programs right here in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County.
Please
Lot
say
of
that again,
strong programs.
Please say that again.
We have a whole lot of strong programs right here in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County. Great resources, and we are better together. So we just need to start working together and referring each other, referring our people to people that's going to help them.
That's what I'm talking about.
We are better together. One person can't do it all.
Say it. You know, I'm so glad you said that. I say that all the time, and it sounded better coming from you because you've been where some of the folk are, right? You know, we talk about the analogy here all the time that the man who fell down in a hole somewhere in the USA, right? people walk by and drop the cards. When you get out, come see me. The mailman, the lawyer dropped the card and said, hey, when you get out, let's sue him. The doctor dropped by and said, hey, when you get out, come see me. You're going to need counsel. But one guy stopped and jumped in the hole, said, I've been here before. That's what you're doing. You jumped in that hole because you've been here before, and you're showing people a way out. And again, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take people that realize that one person can't do that. We got to have peer support. We got to have people such as you. You know what's interesting, that why I said give me a fist bump on that, because so many people sit in judgment and say, well, they ain't doing this and they ain't doing that. But there are so many wonderful programs, and you said it best. You got to get sick and tired, and that's when the shift takes place. Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. So when you meet in these groups, you deal with the men, right?
Yeah.
So do you find the population of dealing with the men is difficult? Is it difficult? Because I know as men, right, most men, alpha male, you can't tell me nothing. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to do me. We almost rather bump our head than to clear our head.
Yeah. So it's the same in a sense. I do believe that men are more difficult to work with as far as like it's a lot of pride and ego that kind of like have more resistance when it comes to the barriers that they need to remove in order to improve. So I help by me and Pam as peer support specialists, we have the advantage as far as like what they call related skills. So we have the advantage when it comes to I know where you've been, and they can tell in our stories. They can look in our eyes and see our passion. One thing about living a particular life is when somebody is scamming you. You know when somebody's not authentic. So they can tell in our stories. And once our stories check out, now they're more receptive to what we have to offer. And I tell them from experience, I had to change like things that was within my frame to change. Like therapeutically, we've been told to change people, places, and things. But financially, I may have to stay with my cousin. They may have to have some activities going on that I don't approve of.
Right.
So I'm not able to change those people, places, or things. But I did learn that I could change my mindset. So I encourage these guys to change their mindset by one, especially being a man and saying that you don't need help. You can endure and you can maybe stick it out. And these things, that's the very thing that has caused us to stay in our situation so long. So like Pam said, the resources that's available, there's a lot of resources that's available. Of course, if your mind is being altered, can't really see like all the community links that's in your area. It's like the best kept secret.
Do a lot of people come and seek the help?
Yeah. So we don't have like we do more volunteer than it is any signs of mandated. Now they may be
So let me ask you a question, right? A thought came in my head. Let's say a guy got a sentence, right? Or a woman, want to be gender correct, a person got a sentence, right? And let's say on the back end of their sentence, they was mandated to come into a peer support group. Would that help as a part of their release? And let me tell you why I'm saying it while you're gathering your thoughts, Ms. Goodine. The reason why I'm saying that is because sometimes we have to be, I don't like the word forced, but sometimes we have to be relegated to a place to understand that it's to our benefit.
I understand what you're saying. We have to consider the fact that a lot of people can only get peer support if they receive Medicaid. With our program at the Stepping Up, we don't bill Medicaid. I believe that peer support should be offered to any and everybody. They can have experience with mental health or substance use or not, but everyone deserves some peer support, someone that can support them and listen to them. When we force people to do things, it's not always as effective as it can do if they was to come voluntarily. But there are some people that are required to do X, Y, Z. For instance, with the Stepping Up program, our team is there sort of as case managers and peer support to make sure, just to support them and make sure that they're connected and they're staying in line, doing the things that they need to do.
So they have to, in order to get your services, once I'm released, I have to sign up a volunteer for it.
Well, you from the jail, they have to put in a request. I want to be part of Stepping Up. We have a case manager that does the
What's
screening.
the benefit of that?
The benefits is with that extra support. So a lot of people, they're not going to jump on stuff, if there's no immediate
gratification.
Gratification. We're not a housing agency, but you stick to the program, we're going to definitely connect you to some resources so that you can get housing. But a person has to want to be part of our program. We are that extra support. And when I started working here, I asked my supervisor, where were y'all at when I kept going in and out of jail? Where were y'all at? Stepping Up is a wonderful program. People just need to know about it. And we're not no get out of jail ticket free ticket either. A lot of people will put in a request to be part of our program because they just want to get out of jail. You know what I'm saying? But it's so important to connect to the services and the supports that we're providing to you. It makes my heart happy to see a person who didn't come to our program time they walk out of the jail, but come calling us or knocking on our door 2 years later. It puts a smile on my face. Thank you for thinking about us. Because, see, that shows me that a seed was planted. It may, a while back a seed was planted. You thought about us. You ready for that extra support. We're here to support you. But we can, I'm an advocate. I talk about the benefits and the value of peer support within the intercepts. Like I said, there's a lot of wonderful resources here. I believe that everyone should have a peer support specialist on their team. We need to create more jobs so that peer support specialists can be there to work with other people. A lot of places have shortages of the steps, like the probation officer. 2019, they were short on staff,
Right.
Put a peer support or two within your department. That peer support specialist help that person that's on probation walk through this thing. They leave out of jail or whatever, they have a whole list of things that they need to do. They don't have nowhere to stay. They don't have no money, don't have no food. A lot of things. That peer support specialist can help them navigate the system and connect them. Sometimes a person just don't know how to connect with the services that's here for us. They want instant stuff, but things are not going to happen instantly. You have to do the work. So they have to take that responsibility, say, okay, I'm ready for help because I know I can't do this by myself. Will you help me? But peer support can be implemented anywhere that we can imagine.
So as you were talking, I was thinking. So imagine this. Imagine that prior to being released, I started gradually introducing you to peer support. Because once you've been incarcerated, you can relate to what I'm about to say. I only know this from a educational perspective, right? I know that if I place you in a culture for a certain period of time, you will adapt habits and ways to survive where you at, right? Yeah. So if I have you in a detention center, you got to survive that stay while you're there, right?
Right.
You got to basically adapt some behavior that may not naturally be yours in order to survive so that you're not taken advantage of, bullied, or whatever. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you agree with that, how do we get people back in that mindset that now you're about to be released? So now you got to have some life skills. You got to have some skill sets. You got to have the ability to so let me ask you this, right? In all transparency. We're sitting here right now. Both of you are very articulate. Both of you are sitting here looking at me in my face, talking to me, right? could you have done that years ago? Could you have conducted yourself like that years ago?
With
So,
the-
so,
Uh-huh.
so you probably saying you probably couldn't have, right? It took you a minute to get there, right? You said it. You said I
It's
wish the
there for
resources there
me.
when you came out. So what I'm saying
That's
is
why
that,
I think a peer support specialist should be up in the jail at least 3 shifts.
so you know what? I'm going somewhere with that. That's where I'm going with it. That's where I'm going, right? We about to connect on this. It must be in the atmosphere. So what I'm saying is, right? How strong would it be if you could go back to the people, the commissioners, Wilson Hunt, and you say, you know what? We talk with the sheriff. And talking through this thing, there is a need for this. Because now you're going to identify some people that will benefit from the peer support, right? And you start gradually introducing this to them, right? So when they release them, they don't hit and fall right off. You know what I mean? They come out and they actually step down, down, down to where they're ready to go off on their own, right? When you open the door, and I've been incarcerated for 90, 100 days, a year, whatever the case may be, and here I go. Boom. That's an emotional overload. There's a psychological effect. All of those things. I've got to learn how to get a job. I got to learn to accept some things that have happened along the way, a shift in my life, a shift in loved ones. So many things that happen when I go over there and talk to the men and women over there. So many things have happened in their life. They've got to readjust a whole new way of thinking, doing business. People have forgotten about them, moved on. But what if you had peer support inside, right? That those folk who, we know who's coming to the door, who's about to be released. We do, right? And there's some that we're working on them trying to get released. And then there's some that you can say, you know what? Maybe we need to think about this. Maybe we need to do some intervention.
So when we speak about peer support within the jail and
Detention center.
introduce inside the detention center,
Yeah.
we're not just talking about any peer support. Because see, peer support specialists, everybody has a different skill set. I would suggest and strongly recommend a forensic peer support specialist, a peer support specialist that has that life lived experience of being there and doing that.
So explain it, because a lot of people don't know when you say forensic, right? You know, what I've learned in doing is what's common ain't really common. You know what I mean? What's common sense ain't really common. In other words,
Right.
when you say forensic peer support, what's the difference between a forensic peer support and a peer support?
Well, forensic peer support specialist is somebody that has those intercept models that they're familiar with the justice system, so they can walk them through from the time that their incarceration to the time that they're released, dealing with the probation and parole.
All of it.
All the resources that they need to get acclimated back into society. So this is forensic peer support that we try to advocate. We're not just peer support specialists. Me and Pam are peer support trainers. So we train other peer support specialists, but as well as we are advocates for the system or peer support as a whole. So we see the benefits of peer support in our own lives, as well as we would like to see in others.
Right.
We'll take, for instance, first responders. Like, they can benefit from having a peer support on board, especially when we know a large portion of that number that you said earlier is mental health and substance abuse. So by having someone that have the eyes of those lived experiences, we can kind of like tell them in detail what would be the best approach to deal with this. Some innovative solutions or some alternatives besides the aggressive approaches that have failed in the past.
Okay. I like that. I think that a lot of conversations need to be had. A lot more resources need to be given, because I see every day, I see folk that are going back into the system. I see a circle. Out, in, out, in. While we have services available, we have community outreach over there where we find jobs for people when they're coming out. We have programs over there that we're pre-COVID, we were working on bringing the GED program into the detention. There's so many things that we were doing pre-COVID that we had to back up on during this COVID pandemic. But one thing that you all have said that I really like that has gotten my attention is it would be nice to have some forensic peer support in there. My reason is saying is because so many people need support, right? I got a peer support group. I got a group of sheriffs that we talk to each other. We talk about the things that we're dealing with. We talk about the stress we're dealing with. Everybody needs a peer support, someone that can tell them, hey, Kimbrough, that tie ugly, man. That ain't really what you need to do. That's going to cause some problems, right? Because here's the thing that what I have found in life is that sometimes if we don't address a complex situation, right, it brings us complications. But if we address the complex situation on the beginning, we avoid the complications. So imagine if we had in this complex environment that we're living in, this complex detention center dealing with complex people, right? And we had some forensic persons that understand what this guy's going through, right? You're about to be released from the detention center, right? They've given you probation. Your probation fee is upwards of $100 or $200 a month, right? Whatever it might be, restitution, right? So now you get out. They're expecting you to do that because you're on probation when you come out, right?
Right.
So now you can't meet your fees, right? So if you can't meet your fees, you can be violated for not meeting your fees, right?
Yeah.
So now I haven't committed any crimes. I just don't have a job. But as a peer support, you can tell me, when I look at you all, I think about a scout. That's the came to my mind. You know, a scout, a spotter. Somebody's telling me what's in front of me before I get there. Somebody's navigating for me before I even get there. Somebody's saying, look, you're about to be released, but let me tell you what's going to happen in a few months. You'll be back here if you don't get a job. You'll be back here if you don't pay these fines. There's some things we need to say, some things we need to do, some things we need to go, some people we need to go see to see can we reduce these fines. There's some things that by knowing resources, right, who to talk to, are life-changing, are game changers. There's so many things that people can do, simple things that will change your life. But because you don't know, because what you don't know, you don't know.
Yes, and I want to add, it's not that you're, you said in the jails, like it's a certain walk that individuals have, and it's their surviving technique.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of swivel their shoulders.
Yeah.
Kind of like make sure they watch their perimeter.
Yeah.
So they know
6
how to
and 12.
survive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we encourage them what they're already equipped with. These are called transferable skills. So if it's a way that you should walk into your interviewer. It's a way that you should walk when
Confident.
you're being humble, when you're looking for a job, you're looking for resources. It's a way that you should talk to people, gather the right language and linguistic skills, right? So we teach that transitional phase right
what
there.
You say.
Yes.
How you say it, right? We have these conversations all the time, just talking around here in command staff meetings, is how you enter the room affects the room. How you enter the room affects the room. If I walk in the room, I may not have a clue what they talking about or what the subject gonna be. But if I walk in there like I own the room, I've changed the atmosphere. When you start changing atmosphere, you start changing outcome. That's a fact.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
your dress attire.
Exactly. How you gonna enter that space? How do you enter that space? How do you enter the room? You know, what do you say when you go in there? How do you conduct yourself? How do you sit? How do you posture?
Right.
All of those things, peer support. All those things are game changers. All those things keep me from coming back to the same place. And you know what's crazy? I think you said it. You said that I may have to stay with Uncle for a while, right? I could stay with my uncle and have a mind shift. All that's going around me, I can have a mind shift.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of things going around me growing up. But my mind shift say, nah, I ain't with it. I got a plan. I got to work my plan. All I'm saying is this. You all are doing a fantastic work. You all have the ability to change the rates of recidivism. Because you think about this, and then we're going to take it to the house. There is a population of men and women that are going to the system like never before, younger than before. You got babies, really, right? I had a conversation with someone the other day, and they were saying, babies are raising babies. You got little brothers getting little sisters up, getting them ready, make sure they get to the bus stop because life is so swift that mama got to be at work, daddy got to be at work before the bus gets there, right? And sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, right? I won't speak on it one way or another. What I do know is that we got babies. They may be looking like adults. They're not acting like adults. They're not ready for real life situations, right? So we've got to have peer support. Because if not, we're going to have an incarcerated generation. You realize the numbers are increasing. They are. And this is not a problem we can lock away. We can't shoot it away. We can't handcuff it away. But you know what we can do? We can educate it away. And we can inform people. So I'm going to give you all the last word before we take it to the house. But I really would like for you all to consider what I said, right? If you raise enough conversation about it, say, hey, we like to have some peer support people inside the detention center. Take it to the commissioners.
So Sheriff Kimbrough, myself, my supervisor, and a prior peer support specialist, we did have a conversation with 3 of the commissioners back in 2020. So they're very much aware of forensic peer support specialists, and they basically, what's that word that you use? Endorsed forensic peer support. So this is definitely a conversation that we can revisit as again. I also would like to say that I am the owner and the founder of TJC, which stands for The Journey Continues, Peer Supporting Peers. I'm a peer support specialist trainer, as well as an emotional CPR educator and a wellness recovery action plan facilitator outside of my daytime job. So I am open for, open to working with other organizations, for profit or nonprofit. I want to be part of the solution. So if anyone is interested in learning more about peer support specialists, they may contact me at ncpsstraining@gmail.com or either go to my Facebook page, Pamela Goodine, Living by Faith. I will surely support you. I will educate your agency, your staff, as well as do groups or whatever for your staff members. I have a whole lot of resources that I'm willing to share to help the people that you support.
I like that. But if you take that back, and let's revisit that conversation, if they green lighted, funded, supported, I'll make it happen. I'll open the doors and make it happen because I do see a need for it. I see a need for peer support. But your thing about it is you need the peer support before you get out there on the porch. You need it before you hit the porch again. You need that because you need to know how to carry it before you get there. And I think that would be it'd be awesome to have peer support within this, inside the detention center. It would cut down on a lot of things. It really would. And one of the things you talked about, you said it, innovative ways. Think about how many years we've been doing the same thing as relates to detention, right? You got the same thing happening. Time for innovation, time for some changes. Mr. Thomas, anything you want to say before we go to the house, sir?
Yeah, I wanted to say that peer support has changed my lives and as well as other people that we have touched when we do training.
Are you from Winston?
I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri.
From the Lou.
Yes, and I've been here since probably 11 years now. So I
Okay.
stay in Greensboro.
Okay.
In Greensboro, I do training out of the NASBOM Center. I have a organization called CHAMP, and that's an acronym for Choosing Healthy Alternatives to Maximize Your Potential.
Okay.
So I help people with the personality traits and behaviors that led them to the situation in the first place. And it's a self-rewarding atmosphere that inside of peer support, because it continues to teach you from within as well as the other individuals that you're dealing with.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. You're from Winston, right?
Yes, I was born and raised right here in Winston-Salem.
Exactly. You were. I knew that. Yeah. I asked you because I knew you weren't. I knew you were. You homegrown.
Homegrown.
There it is. Well, listen, I have really enjoyed this conversation. It's been very informative, very enlightening. You've given me some ideas. I hope that you take this and run with it. I do, because you have resources, you have connections, that if you start the conversation, you know what I have learned in my short term in this thing called politics, right? That a word can change a life. One word. Many words can change generations. Conversations that people are having are life-changing. These conversations that we're having now could literally change someone's life. You start this, we get it going, we're going to change somebody's life that hadn't even got there yet. That's crazy, ain't it?
Well, it's going to happen. We, as a community, we have exactly what we need to bring about change in our community.
We do.
We have to stop talking about what's not working and begin looking at how to make things better. Like I said earlier, we have some great resources. And yes, it's time to be innovative, having those conversations with the higher ups about how to better improve what we already have going on instead of creating something new, but use what we already got and add to it. And so I look forward to having another conversation with you about peer support, forensic peer support specialists. If you're,
of course, I'm
just
open
let
for
me
it.
know.
Of course I'm with it. I'm going to leave you with this, and then we go into the house, is that two men were having a conversation, young man and an older man. The young man was complaining about all the things that are happening in life, all the confusion, pandemics, epidemics, all the things, disasters, gun violence. And the young man said to the old man, why won't God send some help? And the old man paused and he said, he has sent help. He created you. He created you. He created me. The problem is that we don't realize that all the problems that we have, we are the solutions, because most of the problems are man-made.
Exactly.
So, with that being said, I want you all to know how much I've enjoyed this, how much I appreciate this. I love you all. I love the work you're doing. Stop by anytime. You know how to reach me. I would love to have this conversation because I really think we own something. And I think that you have the resources and the connection to pull it off. So let's do that. As always, this is Bobby Kimbrough, and thank you for being with us on Off the Cuff.